Hello and welcome back to Bombchu News. My name is Andrew, I'm joined by Chris, and we'll be covering these we found interesting today.
Valve has laid off 13 employees and some of their contractors, most of whom seem to be connected to Artifact. One of the people let go was Magic the Gathering creator Richard Garfield. In an email to an Artifact fan site, Richard Garfield went into detail about his release and his thoughts on Artifact. Garfield stated plainly, quote, "We weren't surprised by the layoff considering how rocky the launch was. The team was enthusiastic about the game and we were confident that we had a good product, but it became clear it wasn't going to be easy to get the game to where we wanted it. The layoff makes sense for a number of reasons. To name a couple, now that the game is out there, time is more critical, so more voices within the team that you have to navigate may not be as good as making less considered decisions faster. Another, the expertise that we brought is less critical after listening to us for 4+ years." End quote. However, while the separation might sound fairly amicable at first, Richard Garfield also stated that he remains optimistic about Artifact's future and even offered to continue advising Valve on the game for free, an offer that Valve apparently turned down. Artifact is in a bad place and seems to be getting worse as time goes on, with the most recent 24-hour player counts being under 600. Valve has remained fairly quiet when it comes to Artifact, only issuing some small changes and updates here and there. Valve has offered some reassurance to players, saying they are pressing forward and working towards long-term goals for Artifact, but nothing of any real substance that players can look forward to. I tried to remain optimistic about Artifact when it first launched, and I still maintain that the core mechanics and the presentation in the game are very strong. However, the rapidly dropping player counts, lack of a clear roadmap from Valve, and now the loss of Richard Garfield, all has the future of Artifact looking more and more bleak every day.
Nintendo Labo is heading into the realm of cardboard VR. Titled the Nintendo Labo VR Kit, the new Toy-Con is touted as a basic virtual reality experience kids and families can build themselves. According to the press release, the base kit will come with a VR goggles set, as well as a game that will work with a VR kit and an accessory as well. The accessories are a little weirder this time around and range from a paper gun to an elephant trunk. The games and experiences bundled within are fairly varied, it appears, as the examples mentioned are taking pictures of the ocean floor or defending against aliens using the cardboard gun. Unlike previous reveals, there is currently no video at the time of this writing demonstrating the visual fidelity, however I wouldn't get my hopes up based on the hardware. Nintendo did mention that they will be opening up the programming with the VR kit just as they have done with previous entries, allowing child and parent alike to craft their own quirky experiences. The new VR kits for Nintendo Labo are released on April 12, 2019.
A group of Anthem players have launched a protest against the game after loot drop rates were once again nerfed. In a recent update, players noticed that drop rates for high-end loot seem to have been increased. Players rejoiced as it seemed Bioware had finally taken notice of one of players' biggest complaints with the game, at least when it comes to mechanics and not technical issues. However, less than a day later, players noticed that Bioware had reverted the drop rates closer to where they were before. Bioware issued a statement saying, quote, "In our Friday changes, one of the edits we made had the side effect of increasing certain drop chances. This was not intended. Once we identified the problem, we changed it back to how it was before." End quote. This has left players outraged and seems to be the final straw for some. On the Anthem subreddit, a user made a post planning a blackout protest of the game, urging players fed up with the way the game is being treated to not put any time into the game at all from now until Friday. The hope is that enough people will participate to bring a noticeable drop in player numbers, something which could have a big impact on this type of live service game, and also affect the in-game sales of items with a real-world cost. The post is currently sitting at over 10,000 upvotes, and is one of the top 10 all-time posts on the subreddit. While the impact of this protest remains to be seen, there is a somewhat large part of the Anthem community that at least agrees with the idea of the protest, even if they aren't planning on actively participating. Hopefully this is able to send the intended message to Bioware, and some impactful changes are made to hang on to their player base.
Another major study has found that violent video games and increased aggression have no clear correlation. Sourced from Fraser Brown over at PC Gamer, this new study with the intent to confirm a link between the two has returned a giant goose egg. The study included over 1,000 teens who participated in various tests where violent video games were played and a few different psychological profiles were built following each engagement. These tests ranged from comparing effects of games rated from all ages to mature, as well as how increased time playing violent video games may affect the brain. At the end of the study, there is very little to no hard proof that the video games themselves caused increased aggression in any of the teens. There have been countless studies like this completed, but it appears no matter how in-depth these tests are, the proof is not enough to stop fingering our favorite pastime when teen violence occurs. The final report of the study is a long read, but very interesting. I've added a link to it in the description below. Well, that's all the news we found interesting today. Feel free to share any awesome game news you may have missed in the comments below, and we'll see you guys next time.